Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our International Energy Law and Policy webinar. So my name is Lucy Welch. I'm a Student Inquiries Advisor. So you may recognise my name if we've spoken over the phone or via email before. So I'll just give you a bit more information about the structure of this webinar. So as an attendee, your mic and videos have been disabled. So you'll just need to interact with us via the chat function on the right-hand side of your screen. And whilst we do welcome questions, we think to get the most out of the presentation, you wait till the end and you can ask your questions via the Q&A section, also on the right-hand side of your screen. So I'll just give you a bit more information about the Q&A section. You can either type your question in there, or alternatively, if you see anyone else's question that's particularly relevant to you, or you think is, or you'd like to be answered more imminently, then you can upvote their question, and that will be jumped to the top of the queue to be answered first. So with that said, we'll also be sending out a recording in the next few days. So do keep an eye on your inbox for that if you'd like to refer back to anything or you think you missed anything. So with that said, I'll hand over to Simon and he can get started with the presentation.
Welcome to this webinar in relation to the LLM in International Energy Law and Policy at the University of Stirling. I'm Simon Marsden, the Programme Coordinator for this particular LLM. There are some introductory slides to begin with, explaining where Stirling is situated within the United Kingdom and Scotland. You can see there. And some information on the University of Stirling with some statistics on the number of students, staff and spread of nationalities. There's also some information for you in relation to where Stirling is situated as a university across Scotland in various categories. Some lovely photographs of our university campus on a summer's day that we've had the last 2 weeks, and some information about life in Stirling as a small Scottish city for students with many interesting things to do. Some basic information about living costs, and in relation to the university, the facilities the library has to offer, access times, group study areas, and the online learning environment of Canvas. Now, in relation to the specific programme information, you'll see from the slides that the programme is run in the full-time mode over 2 main semesters, 1 and 2, the first one in the autumn term, the second after Christmas running through to spring. In the autumn semester, there are 2 core modules for students, and in the spring semester 2, there are also 2 core modules, and students take both of those each semester, together with choosing from optional modules in both of those semesters. So the Energy Law and Policy module, the core, is introductory to energy law, international energy law and policy. We'll be explaining a little bit more about the main actors in the discipline, and indeed the theoretical underpinnings of it more generally. Similarly, the module that deals with international law and sustainable development recognises that students need to have an understanding of both of those two key elements. International law clearly relates to resources law, international environmental law, and sustainable development is significant in relation to theory and practice, and has both legal and policy underpinnings to it. In the second semester, the core modules, low carbon energy law, deals largely with renewables, looking at the background to development of renewables, given extensive use of hydroelectricity, both nationally in Scotland and internationally, and also the low carbon use of nuclear power is also considered, and then the renewable sources, most typically wind, solar, are considered in some detail in that module. The training module prepares students for the dissertation, which takes place over the summer semester. So after the two semesters 1 and 2 are complete, students will then complete their dissertation, and that is grounded in the training for Masters in the Arts and Humanities, which takes students through the different research methods that they can employ with respect to the choice that they make for their dissertation. The optional modules that are available in semesters 1 and 2 are taught through interfaculty lectures. International organisations and the climate change modules are taught in politics, and environmental economics and environmental impact assessment are taught in the environment faculty. Semester 3, that's the summer semester, you'll see there the dissertation is a required component of the programme, supervised by a member of the law staff on any aspect of energy law and policy. You can see some previous examples there, both last year and this year, dealing with renewables in various domestic contexts internationally, the political effect of the British exit from the European Union, what does that mean for energy law and policy, and indeed international legal frameworks for energy law and policy, which have been considered by some students. Benefits of the course. The relationship between energy, environment and regulation is the key benefit that students will gain as a result of studying this programme. An in-depth understanding of the law and policy with respect to the subject will be provided by a number of staff in law and across the faculties. Expert staff providing the insight into the appropriate issues, both globally, regionally, in Europe, for example, and nationally. And the dissertation in the summer term is also potentially available on a work-based approach, subject to appropriate projects being made available by law firms or public bodies. And indeed, attendance at conferences is something that we've been very successfully able to offer to students the last 2 years in particular, both here in Stirling and also at other Scottish universities, notably at Dundee most recently. What is innovative about this LLM? The comprehensive, integrative, multidisciplinary focus is a key aspect of it that we explained through what's known as the law and policy triangle in the next slide. The research intensive focus of the programme, both the training module, which is compulsory in the second semester, following through to the dissertation in the third semester, the summer term. The focus on low carbon energy solutions, the renewables of wind, solar in particular, are a key focus of the programme. And indeed the attractive options that are taught across the Faculty of Arts and Humanities in politics, and also in the Environment faculty in relation to environmental economics and environmental impact assessment. Finally, the focus on comparative global and regional law and policy. You can see the range of different areas that are considered. I've mentioned Europe, but also Asia, North America, Australasia, and indeed the Arctic have focused heavily over the last 2 years. This current slide, you can see reference to the energy law and policy triangle, with a small diagram there with energy law and policy in the centre of the larger triangle, and the 3 dimensions of economics, environment and politics lying outside that. The descriptive text beneath that triangle illustrates that each of those 3 dimensions, economics, politics and environment, attempt to draw energy law and policy in their directions, and the triangle is all about trying to balance those 3 components for successful outcomes. As to the class profile, both this year and last year, the majority of students have been full-time home students, including those from the European Union. Also some part-time home and European students as well. Students have had a range of experience which they have been able to share with the class, which has been very beneficial. And the previous year we had students, a large number of international students last year from China, Indonesia and also from South Africa. And again, that varied range of experience they brought to bear in the programme was hugely beneficial in sharing within the class. What are the career paths from the programme? There are many job opportunities that lie from studies in international energy law and policy, private law firms, in-house legal counsel in various corporations, and government legal service can be pointed to. Opportunities to develop an academic research career. Several students have gone on to PhD studies across the UK, and indeed have chosen to remain at Stirling in some instances. Emphasis on legal skills for students that don't have a legal background, being introduced to case law analysis, statutory interpretation, and indeed being given the opportunity through presentations in class to practice oral advocacy and in writing skills in advance of preparing for the dissertation. The work-based dissertations have already been referred to. Scotland has a programme known as Making the Most of Masters, which is a formal arrangement between Scottish universities and a number of employers, providing the opportunity for students to spend time within a work setting to develop their master's dissertation. And finally, attendance at academic conferences has been greatly supported, which has been beneficial for students that have been interested in pursuing research careers. That concludes the presentation. I'm open to taking any questions now. If you want to type them in, I can answer them as best I can orally to you. Thank you. I've got a question from Charlotte asking what kinds of work-based dissertations have previous students done. I can refer to a couple here that I'm familiar with. One student was based within a law firm in Edinburgh last year, and she pursued a programme of research that the law firm was keen to find out some answers to, with respect to the effect of a change in the government position with respect to subsidies for renewables. So she carried out research with respect to that. There was another student who worked for an energy company also last year, and he was asked to look into the planning arrangements for new energy projects, which was very well received, I understand. Any further questions? Okay, well, thank you for that, and feel free to get in touch if you have any other inquiries with respect to this programme. I can be contacted by email, simon.marsden@stair.ac.uk. Thank you.